Look at this. Look at this. Normally, I get excited by performance figures. 0 to 60s, top speeds, that kind of thing. But look at this. I'm averaging 80 miles per gallon. And this isn't some plug-in hybrid with hyper-inflated efficiency numbers. This is a regular Honda Civic.
This, to give it its full name, is the Honda Civic HEV. It's a regular family hatchback, as Civics have always been, but this one's gone slightly upmarket in terms of its tech and price. It'll set you back as much as £36,000, but for that you get some fancy powertrain technology. Where previous Civics used a variety of engines, this generation comes with just one option, a super efficient full hybrid that doesn't require plugging in.
Okay, let me show you what's powering this thing, because it sounds quite exotic, doesn't it? Well, maybe not as exotic as you might think, because underneath the bonnet is a 2-litre direct injection Atkinson cycle petrol engine, but it's not alone. As you can see from these orange high voltage cables, this bad boy is electrified. It's connected to not one, but 2 electric motors. The first motor is a generator. It uses the engine to create electricity, which it can then send to the second motor to drive the front wheels. Or the engine can send that electricity to a small 1 kilowatt-hour battery pack underneath the rear seats to then send to that second motor to again drive the front wheels. Or the engine can drive the front wheels by itself. It all sounds incredibly complicated, but thankfully the car itself keeps things nice and simple.
In my hands, the Civic proved incredibly efficient. In ideal circumstances, so in warm temperatures with a warm engine, driving without too much stopping and starting, and generally at urban speeds below 30 miles an hour, 80 miles per gallon is possible. I've also managed 60 miles per gallon when doing a mixture of urban, A-road and motorway speeds. Realistically though, you can expect 55 to 80 mpg from this car, which is very respectable.
Reassuringly, the car takes care of absolutely everything. You don't have to worry about being in one of a million different driving modes. You hop in, press D on the center console, and off you go. It's pretty much as simple as that. There is a power flow display which shows you whether it's the engine or the motor or the other motor or the batteries which is contributing to you moving along the road. But honestly, you don't have to worry about that. That's just there for your curiosity. It's quite an easy car to drive as well. First of all, the steering is nice and light, which means it's very, very easy to maneuver. The brake pedal is nice and smooth, which means that you can come to a stop smoothly without annoying your passengers or yourself. There are a couple of paddles behind the steering wheel which look as if they were designed for you to change gear. They don't do that in this car. They actually adjust the level of brake regeneration. So in other words, if you pull the left-hand paddle, that will cycle through 4 different levels of brake regen, which means that the most aggressive mode slows you down without having to press the brake pedal. Doesn't come to a complete stop, and it's not super aggressive as it is in some cars, like electric cars, but it does mean that you have an option to not use the brake pedal and just use your fingers. The suspension is quite nice as well. I'm on a typical English B road right now, which means there's loads of undulations and imperfections, but the Civic is soaking them up, no problem whatsoever. I've also got really good visibility all around. It's a car you jump in and feel happy to drive. The only gripe I have in terms of driving this car is the refinement. There's quite a lot of road noise coming up off the tires, and if you're going on a long journey, the level of noise that you're hearing from the road can become a little bit tiresome.
On the upside, the latest Civic looks pretty decent. The design is clean and simple, with a large lower grille featuring horizontal bars and an upper grille with a honeycomb design and a blue ringed Honda badge. Top spec cars have the option of digital lights for easier driving at night. As for the bodywork, well, it has a slightly different shape than before with a wider stance, an A-pillar pushed backwards to line up more accurately with the center of the front wheels, a wheelbase that's 35mm longer but with a 20mm shorter rear overhang. The back end is smoother, especially where the boot lid joins the roof thanks to a laser welding technique, with neatly packaged rear lights and, notably, an exhaust tucked away from view.
Now, let me talk about practicality. This is a family car, so it has to be really good in that regard. This isn't motorized, which is a bit of a shame, but the rest of it is brilliant. Total storage is 410 litres. For reference, a Golf is about 380, a Ford Focus is around 375, and a plug-in hybrid Astra is around 350. This is bigger than all of those, and that's especially impressive because this is an electrified car. Brilliant. I also really like this. Look at this, a pull-across parcel shelf. No nonsense, does the job. Plus, it's got a couple of hooks, 12-volt power supply. The rear seats fold fairly easily. Do you want to know the best thing about this boot, though? It comes with a rubberized mat, which means it's waterproof, muck-proof, everything-proof. For example, let's say I've had an accident. I'll spill some water in there. No big deal, because what I can then do is remove the entire rubber mat, shake it out, chuck it away, clean it, and I've still got a pristine car. Thanks, Honda. So let's check out the back of the new Honda Civic HEV. It's actually quite a nice place to spend time. Because of that extended wheelbase, you get quite a lot of room in here. Look at this, I'm 5'11" and I've got a ton of leg room. That front seat's adjusted for me and I fit great. Plus I can put my feet underneath the seat and I'm very, very comfortable here. Decent amounts of headroom as well. I've got a nice little armrest with 2 cup holders, one big, one small. The rest of it is quite basic though. There's no ambient lights. The heating system back here doesn't allow you to adjust the temperature, just whether the vents are open or closed, but there are 2 USB ports. One thing I'm not very happy with though is, look at this, on this side you've got a little pocket to store your gadgets and bits and bobs. Over here, the passenger behind the driver doesn't have one. What's it all about? Does the window open all the way? Drum roll. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, okay, not amazing, but spacious. I like it. What's it like up front? Decent, very decent. I will say the materials aren't necessarily the most impressive, shall we say. If you feel around you, you might come away a bit disappointed, especially because this car is £36,000. But the general look of the cabin is quite pleasing. I like it. I've got this piano black just in front of me. Not too much of that stuff, but just enough to make it feel classy. This horizontal strip just here with the hexagons mirrors the front of the car, which is a nice touch. You've also got these joysticks which allow you to adjust the direction of your fans very, very easily. And on that subject, I've got a fan speed knob just here and a temperature control for the driver and passenger. Nice and easily integrated into buttons rather than being buried in a display. Thank you, Honda, once again. You're doing the correct thing in this regard. Now, in terms of practicality, we've got a couple of cup holders, nice big central storage binnacle, decent sized door pockets, and we've also got some wireless charging just in front of you right here. Your phone does move around quite a lot, I'm not gonna lie to you. When you go around a bend, that will fly out of place and stop charging, which is slightly annoying, but you do have 2 USB ports and a nice big infotainment display just up here, which comes as standard. And by the way, with this, you get wireless Apple CarPlay. So look at this, no cables whatsoever, but I've still got Apple CarPlay integrated into the screen. Do you know what? It's a pricey car, £36,000, so you would expect this level of quality, but Honda have done it quite well. I guess the last question to ask is it fun? Yes, it is fun. I do enjoy driving this car, especially when you put it in sport mode and the character changes slightly. You realize that it handles really well. So 0 to 62 is done in around 8 seconds. Top speed is 112 miles an hour, although you'll probably never need to go that fast in this car. But it goes round corners really nicely. There's plenty of grip from the Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres, and the engine noise, I'll floor it, even sounds half decent. Obviously, if you drive it like a maniac, you are going to ruin that lovely, lovely fuel economy. But it's nice to note that the Honda Civic can be as placid as you like and focus very much on efficiency 1 minute, but then the next minute can be a decent laugh to drive as well. It's a great all-rounder.
A great all-rounder with an emphasis on efficiency then. There's very little not to like about the latest Civic, apart from maybe the price perhaps. but you will eventually recoup some of that £36,000 outlay for this particular model through the incredible efficiency. If you're looking for a car that ticks pretty much every box that a family car needs, then you'll be hard-pressed to find one better than the latest Honda Civic.